Well, happy Wednesday, beautiful souls, wherever you are on this fantastic planet. It's about that time. Yes, it is. It is time for Ready, Set, Real Estate, where you guys know we do everything real estate, support our nonprofit Real Estate 100 Youth Foundation. And I am so stoked about today's guest. And you know me, I'm an excitable person, and today I have a special guest who has been featured on many national magazines. And if you've been catching it on the timeline, our guest, Paul Lamar Hunter, he is here to share his story. I think it's a great story, and it spawned from his book called No Love, No Charity: The Success of the 19th Child. And you guys take some notes, tune in, because again, I'd like to share with you some unconventional ways to home ownership. But really, what's amazing about this story is a story of family, the family dynamic. So I am going to bring you on without no further ado to Paul. You are streaming live all over the world. Please say hello.
Hey, how you doing, Lisa? Thank you for having me on as your guest. I'm just excited to share my personal story of success.
I'm so happy to have you on because I think as you've shared this story, and I'm just going to read it off here, you've been featured on Black Enterprise, Ebony Magazine, AMPS Magazine, Today's Christian Magazine, The National Examiner. You've been on a few morning shows across the country sharing your story. And what sticks out to everyone is the success of the 19th child. Expand on that. What does that entail?
Well, the 19th child. My mother birthed 21 natural children. There are 17 of us living today. There are 63 grandchildren. There's 86 great grandchildren living today. So, as the 19th child, I was the first to graduate from college, Upper Iowa University, a prestigious university. I graduated from college with a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration. So what I was able to do is lay the foundation that education is important. So my message today to young men and women, especially youth, go and achieve your goals. Go out and get an education.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is so profound. And what a foundation, because it's just so personal too. So it's, and for those who are learning me and are familiar, that I am a huge advocate with starting with home first, right? Starting with family, impacting the lives of our families. And that way that can translate and transcend our community and our communities at a whole when we are supporting healthy, building wealth. We're educated, we're knowledgeable, we're applying the wisdom, we are using the experience. We are then to grow as a nation, and a prosperous nation, really, in terms of what we're doing in advocacy. So that is amazing. I don't know if that really resonated with so many people. How many grandchildren does mom have at this point? And I really wanted to share, and I'll share it later, the picture of your mother with a few. You said it was a snapshot of some of the grandchildren. What's the number right now?
Like I indicated, there 63 grandchildren actively living today. There is 86 great grandchildren living today. So I have a huge family. So you can't mess with me.
Right. That is such a profound legacy as we're talking about this. So let's dive in to talk about just kind of the impact of living, right? So parents have had, that you said, 21 natural children. So what was home life for you growing up?
Growing up as the 19th child, home life was very difficult because a lot of my siblings had to forego their education to stay at home with the young ones. And so that's including myself. So I was taught by some of my older siblings that had to forego their education because they had to stay at home because mom and dad had to work at that particular time. So I give a lot of credit to my mom and dad because we endured a lot. We had to go without food at times. We had to go without a lack of clothes in the home. And what it did, it made us close together. And
Yes.
I remember my mother telling us the story of when she was pregnant. This is dramatic here. She was pregnant with the 14th child. This was in the winter months of February. And she was pregnant with the 14th child. A sheriff officer came to the home at that particular time because it was a 2-bedroom home and it was like 13 people living in there. So by law, it was illegal. So the sheriff looked at the kids, looked around, said, I tell you what, I give you 72 hours and then you have to leave. So within 72 hours, a miracle was performed because the next day a guy came and he had an 18-bedroom house for my mom and my father. So my mom and father went with this young man and he showed them this 18-bedroom house, gorgeous house. And he said, I can give it to you for $1. My mom and dad did not have the dollar in their pocket or in their wallet. So the young man digged in his wallet, gave them the dollar, and they paid the man $1 for the house. A couple years later, that house was engulfed in flames. And I lost my brother. So, and also myself, I was burned, but I was able to survive. But what I want to say is that through tragedy, through the circumstances, I never let that dictate my future. I never let it dictate who I am as a person because I have a good understanding that my purpose is bigger than my circumstances. Right. And that's what young people today need to understand, that their purpose is bigger than their circumstances.
That's awesome. Indeed. I'm so happy that you're sharing your story because that definitely would, oh my gosh, that's definitely tragic. If I may ask, how old was your brother at that time?
My brother Thomas was 8 years old when he passed away.
Wow. And pay homage to an ancestor. Wow. And thank you for sharing that and that perspective. I'm so moved by that right now because as we're talking about the importance of home and family and having to not only make that transition to leaving and as people talk about home ownership and the importance of home ownership and here you guys were occupying a property where they said it looks like local ordinances said that it was not habitable because it was overly occupied. So I would take it that was in a circumstance where you were renting that property at that time before you guys, right?
Yes, my mother was renting at that particular time.
Right. See, and then that definitely puts limitations, and that makes sense. So that there are definitely rental tenant and landlord codes that I just want our audience to be clear about where you guys were living before you had someone that was God sent that opened their doors, opened their home, and blessed you guys with a property for $1. Like that's unheard of. But the reason why that resonated with me is because of the country as a whole, when properties are lost, they get sold through HUD homes, and they do get sold for about $1. Then they go through a HUD process. And I'll just reiterate here for some people who are not familiar with HUD, it's the Housing and Urban Development Organization, and they oversee our housing industry. And one of the things that they do is afford an opportunity for home ownership through various programs. And not to make that a long story, and you can definitely learn more uh, through contacting me, and I can share more about HUD Homes. But when I heard $1, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is like the HUD home story, where people are constantly asking, hey, have you heard HUD Homes? Do you sell HUD Homes? And there's just more than one way to home ownership that I wanted to share with people and share your story. So tell us about um, No Love, No Charity. What can we expect in terms of reading and learning about your story, the success of the 19th child?
Well, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19 is a autobiographical book by myself, and it
Okay.
details my personal life from 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 the birth that my mother had of me all the way up until my graduation, and it talks about the tragedies that I had to
Mm,
overcome with the
right.
death of my brother, with the death of my
Yes.
father, and
Mm-hmm.
and going on to college and looking back at your family history and discovering that no one in the family ever achieved a college degree. So there it was a lot on my shoulders. It was a lot that I had to carry, but I was able to surround myself with positive men and women that pushed me, that encouraged me, that told me that I can become someone, that I can become
Right.
successful. And in 2012, I made history in the family. So the message is for young men and women, go out and make your history. Go out and be
Yes.
productive. Go out and be somebody. Go out
Yes.
and be a successful man or a successful female in
Right.
this society.
Right. And now we are at it, and I'm excited about the times in which we live in. For instance, we're able to present, portray, and share positive images of what success looks like. I really am excited about we get to redefine personal success, as opposed to usually what we've seen in mainstream media being perpetuated in one way and glitz and glam. But here you have a personal measure of success where you're saying, as the 19th child of 21, um, paving the way, laying the foundation, and opening the door for higher education and pursuing your dreams and showing those that whatever you set in your heart, you can achieve. And I don't want to get too much in the cliches, but I mean, it's there's some validity there, you guys, that as you see the journey that I've been going through and the people I connect with. Paul, where are you right now? I just actually want, just in terms of connecting, where are you right now?
I'm living in Tucson, Arizona, where it's about 90 degrees. So I love the weather here. I love the people here. The people are very friendly to me. So I'm just enjoying my life. But I would love to have an opportunity to come out to the California area and speak to young men and young women in different organizations, the Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers and Sisters, the YMCA, any youth program. I would love to have the
Right.
opportunity to come out there and just share my personal story of success, because I think that, my purpose is to share my story and
Yes.
also inform young men and women that they can make it. They really can make it.
Right. Right. And I'm so happy that you are here doing that, because it's in having to retell the story. It definitely would, I think, would tug a little, would pull a little, but you definitely have made this um, message a positive thing. And I'm huge about transforming some of those negative experiences to positive experiences. So we definitely want to support that your story gets out. So what's in store for the book and you? What's coming up next, if you would share that with us?
Well, I'm just excited because my book has been adapted into a screenplay. So I know that one day you will see my life story told into a movie. And I'm believing that
That's
these
awesome.
production companies that that have the material, that will reach out and say, hey, let's get this project done, and have fun with it, because it's a story of against the odds. And I'm a
Right.
person that was against the odds. You know, you look at my life story, you'll say, you know what? He's an unlikely candidate. You know, he's going to
Mm,
prison, he's going to go to jail, he's
mm,
not productive. Well, I tell you what, this unlikely candidate became successful. This unlikely candidate graduated from college. This unlikely candidate had attached himself to successful people. And
right.
now, this is what you get, baby.
Right, right. And I love that because there is that adage that says your net worth is your network is your net worth, and you being connected and continuing to um, do the work that you're doing is so needed and so important. So we definitely support you here in sharing your story. And I have to say, shout out because you're a fellow author. So I know what that journey's like, and even coming to grips with saying I'm going to put my story in a book, because been there, have done it, and I continue to do it. And I think it's one of the most cathartic things to do. It's healing. And do you find that that's what you were able to, has it been cathartic or healing for you to put your story into a book?
Yes, it has, because there's a lot of things that I had to get purged out of my
Mm,
life. And like I say, it's a story of letting go, and it's a story of forgiving, because uh, another important thing that I want to say to young men and women, that your parents are not perfect. I
mm,
wish there was a book that I can read and say, you know what, this is how you become a better parent. But your parents are not perfect. Your parents was born into some un tough circumstances. So um, whatever the cards was dealt to them, they did their best. And so my mother, she wasn't perfect, but my mother did her best. My father wasn't perfect, but my father did his best. So I am here today, and I am living proof that you can become successful, but you cannot let your circumstances dictate your future.
right. Well said. Well said. And I'm so glad that you are uh, sharing that perspective, because what I also like to advocate is personal responsibility. And you are markedly doing that and saying you've taken personal responsibility in what you can control. And your environment is definitely one thing, but to continue to pursue and move forward and excel, like that is commendable, commendable, commendable. You guys, I've got Paul's contact information up on the screen to learn more about what he's doing, to connect with him, to support him as an indie author as well. I'm huge on that, and us supporting one another. But if you or an organization is interested in hearing how he touches lives, because I've been profiling or watching what he's been profiling and doing across the country. It's very important that the youth and the next generation can identify with someone that they can relate to. And I'm telling you, you've got two, what is it? Almost close to almost 2 dozen siblings, right? It's 21. Uh, you learn so much about behavior, personality, and I think about yourself, right?
Yes, I tell you what, I learned a lot from my sibling. Like in this family, you have extroverts and you have introverts.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have some of my families that are shy, and some of them that's outspoken and outgoing and like to have fun, and some just all reserved and very shy. I'm
Right.
a type of person that I am outgoing. I love life. I enjoy life, and I love being with my children. I love communicating with my children, because they are different generation um, compared to my generation. So
Right.
uh, my job as a father now, because they are adults now, is simply to uh, continue to be a parent, continue to advise them, and to make good decisions. So I did not have my father. My father died when
Mm,
I was 8 years old. So I always wanted to outlive my father, And my mom today is 85 years old, so hopefully I can outlive my mom.
What a blessing to have mom at 85. That's awesome, and what a journey. I'm telling you, you've taken, I'm tense at one moment, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's tragic. And then another moment, I'm thinking from a place of love and family, because
Yeah,
when you say to date, you're talking about 60 plus, and I think generational wealth, and I think about how important it is in terms of having an organization in which we do, and connecting your family and your children to be empowered with, through you learning your story, what you've achieved, but bringing that real estate component to real estate literacy to could you imagine? I mean, you guys can own a whole township.
oh yes, 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 we can. And I believe that we can have our own village as well in our own country. Because
Exactly.
we have a big family, and
Right.
we're continuing to grow and expand. So it's a legacy
Yes.
of hope. It's a legacy that you can become successful no matter how your circumstances are in life. You really can become successful.
Right, right. That's amazing. Any final thoughts? We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We keep it short and sweet on Ready Set Real Estate. And for those of you who are catching us on a replay, thank you for sharing, subscribing, and liking. Remember, this channel supports our nonprofit Real Estate 100 Youth Foundation, and we get to support and feature other individuals that are all over this world doing phenomenal things, like today's guest, Paul Lamar Hunter, author of No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child. To learn more about what we do, please visit and support realestate100youth.org and connect with us. Paul, any last thoughts, comments? Let them know how to get in contact with you.
Yes, my website is paullamarhunter.com. paullamarhunter.com. My book is available at barnesandnobles.com,
Wonderful.
amazon.com.
Wonderful. There you have it, you guys. We will connect with you next week with more Ready, Set Real Estate. Paul, I just want you to do one thing for me. I just want you to shout out 4 words for me. Ready, Set Real Estate on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Ready, set, real estate.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. We will
Hey,
stay
thank you.
connected with you and continue to support and follow your story. Have an awesome, productive week, you guys.
Thank you.